Let's all take a minute and pretend that you just graduated college. That's such an exciting milestone for you, but what comes after that? Do you know how to conduct yourself in an employment interview? Do you know how to negotiate a salary for thousands of dollars more than is offered to you? My name is Brittany Hendricks, and this is my partner Makenzie and Engel, and we want you to know that there's classes in the Communication Studies major which will prepare you for the scenarios I just told you about. There's professors who are tenured who will do everything they can to push you to your greatest potential. And there's alumni who once sat in the very seats you sit in now, who now sit behind the desks conducting the interviews. So Kenzie, how did you get your start at EKU?
I actually had a little bit of a different start than most traditional students. I actually started my college career at Georgetown College, which is just a little bit up the road. But when I transferred into EKU my junior year, I fell in love with the Communication Studies program. Unfortunately, I was only able to get into 2 classes at the time, but the one that really stood out to me was Dr. Rudick's interviewing CMS 250. And the reason why this class stuck out to me was because not only did I learn how to conduct myself in a face-to-face interview, but also a phone interview. And what was important about that was it actually helped me land 2 different types of jobs. I aced an interview face-to-face for a summer internship, and after that internship was over, I unofficially had a position available for me after I graduated. And then in September, I had a phone interview with the Disney College program and aced that interview as well. I had 2 jobs lined up before I even graduated. I don't graduate until December, and I had 2 ready for me in September. That's crazy. Not a lot of people can say that. But because of the skills that I learned in this class, I was able to put myself out there. I was able to stand above the rest. I was able to make an impression that landed me 2 different jobs. So if you want classes that are going to challenge you, but they also give you the skills to enhance your after college life, to enhance your professional life, you need to be taking a CMS class. You need to be a major. You need to be a minor. What about you, Brittany? What is a class that really impacted you?
The class that probably impacted me the most would be negotiation. This is a class that teaches you skills that are applicable in all areas of your life. So a quick show of hands, how many of you all either currently rent an apartment or plan on renting an apartment at some time? That's quite a few of you. So how many of you would have the confidence to walk into your landlord's office and negotiate an early break of a lease or an extension on rent? Because I know I wouldn't have had the confidence to do that until I took this class. Another thing this class teaches you about is how to negotiate a salary. Now, who doesn't love more money, right? We all want money. When I was taking this class, my future father-in-law was renegotiating his position at his electrical sales company up in Pennsylvania. So I'd sit in class in the day and I would try and retain all the information that I could, and I would get on the phone with him at night and coach him through what he was going through. At the end of the week, he ended up having his renegotiation. He ended up getting $4,000 more on his yearly salary, plus 2 more days paid vacation. Now, if you guys want a surefire way to make your in-laws like you, I'm telling you, that's the way to go because they love me now. Another way that this class really benefited me on a personal level is it taught me how to sell my house without a realtor. Last month, my fiance and I closed on our house without any help from a realtor. Because we didn't use this realtor, we ended up saving about $4,000 on realtor fees, which we can now use on a down payment on a newer and nicer home. If you guys really want these classes that are going to be able to give you skills to use in all areas of your life, I highly recommend you to look into classes in the Communication Studies major because they will give you these skills that you will need and that you will use. So Kenzie, what's a professor that's really benefited you?
I think all the professors that I've had in the CMS program have really benefited me in multiple ways, but the one that really sticks out to me would be Dr. Fairchild. And for those of you who don't know her, she is probably the happiest person on the planet. She's always smiling, always excited to see you. But what sticks out about her in the CMS program and the professors in there is that they really want to know you beyond the seat that you sit in. And to give you an example of that, on the first day of class, Dr. Fairchild sent out a sheet, and she had different questions like, what's your name, what's your major, what do you plan on doing after graduation, the typical questions. But after those typical questions, she had, draw a picture that represents your personality. Tell me something that's going on in your life. And different things like that. She wanted to know who we were as people, not just who we were as students. And the cool thing about it was they actually remember. All the professors that you give little facts about yourself, they remember these things. They want to have that personal and that academic connection with you. Because how many of you remember on the first day of class when you played those little icebreaker games, remember anything that anyone said? I know I don't. So if you do, props to you. But what I think is amazing is it doesn't matter who the professor is in the CMS program. They remember everything. They remember what makes you you. They remember your name, your face. You're not just a number to them. You're not just a student. You're a person. And they want to help you achieve both academic success, professional success, but also personal. If you want professors who are going to care about you, not saying that your other professors don't, but if you want a pure and true, genuine caring about you, you need to be in a CMS major or minor. Because I promise you, this personal and academic connection that these professors want will benefit you in ways that you didn't know possible. What about you, Brittany? Who's a professor that's really impacted you?
The professor that impacted me the most would be Dr. Rudick. I'm now in my 4th Dr. Rudick course, and that's more than I've had any other professor in my college career. Every time I take one of her classes, before the class even starts, I already know that it's going to be so challenging, but so worth it. You get such great hands-on experience in her classes. She teaches interviewing, which Kenzie told you about earlier, and negotiation, which I spoke to you all about. So on top of being a really great professor, she also takes the time to really help her students succeed. So I recently started my search for an internship, and before I started applying, I went up to her office. First thing, she looked over my resume and gave me a couple pointers and a couple things to change. Then she grilled me on everything from what my interests were to what my experience was, whatever I wanted to do with my career. Then she gave me advice on future careers that I never would have thought of on my own. That's one of the great things about Dr. Rudick is that she's such a wealth of knowledge. She's helped so many students succeed who then turn into successful alumni who want to turn around and help other students succeed. I can almost guarantee that if any of you have a career interest in related to communication studies, she can probably get you in contact with someone working in that career field just because she's helped so many students. If you all want these kind of professors, which are going to be able to help you gain these connections and really help you succeed, you need to get to know the professors in the communications major because they will help you gain those connections. Kenzie, do you have any experience with alumni?
Well, it's actually funny that you mention how Dr. Rudick is a wealth of knowledge and she has so many connections. Because there was one afternoon I was sitting in Dr. Rudick's office just kind of having a conversation with her, and she said, I want to show you this text message from Sydney Batcher. She's a recent CMS major who graduated in 2016. And pretty much the text just was telling Dr. Rudick that she had accepted her position at R.J. Corman as a communication coordinator. And she pretty much just thanked Dr. Rudick for everything that she had taught her, but also everything that the CMS program had taught her. And she goes on to talk about how she had the opportunity to choose between multiple job opportunities. She got to pick that dream job that she wanted. Because how many of us have that dream job? I know I do. Wouldn't you want to be able to choose that job out of a lineup of awesome jobs? Wouldn't you want the power to negotiate different things to make it the best job that it could be? Being a CMS major, or even just being a CMS minor, gives you those skills. It gives you the chance to choose that job that you want, that dream job. So if you want that, if you want to be a successful alumni who gets to choose from multiple job opportunities, who gets to choose that dream job, you need to be a CMS major, or at very least you need to be a CMS minor. What about you, Brittany? What's an alumni interaction that you've had?
So as I mentioned to you all, I recently had started my search for an internship, and I was lucky enough to land an interview at the Madison County Fiscal Court. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's totally okay. I didn't know what that was either until I got the job. But when I got to my interview, I quickly learned that my interviewer was a recent EKU graduate. Her name is Rachel Tyler, and she graduated last May with a major in communication studies. She now works as a human resources coordinator for all of Madison County. When I got to my interview, we were kind of getting to know each other, and she just came right out and told me, you know, Brittany, I know the professors you have. I know the classes you're taking, and I know the hands-on experience that you're getting in those classes. I know you're qualified for this position. That was really reassuring for me to hear from somebody interviewing me that she knew I was qualified just based on what I was studying in school. After that, I was kind of asking her questions about herself, and I learned that before graduation, she didn't really have an interest in HR. But one of the great things about having a major in communication studies is is that it is so versatile. You can enter into so many different job fields without any other experience or education. It doesn't put you in a box. If you guys want a major that's going to allow you to be this versatile in our changing job world, you really need to look into a major or minor in communication studies. But speaking of HR, Kenzie, you're interested in HR, aren't you?
Yes. So like I talked about earlier about that summer internship that I got, it was actually a recruitment internship. And that is the part of HR that deals with finding the perfect fit for an open position within a company. And I got to dive headfirst into this. I was very lucky to get this internship. But I got to experience hands-on what recruiters look for. And I can tell you that having something that says either communication classes or a major or having communication skills puts you above everyone else, because these things that you learn in class, these skills like interpersonal, conflict management, gender, intercultural, all kinds of different things that you learn put you above everyone else, because most people don't have those skills normally. Most people don't know how to effectively communicate their ideas and what they want to tell other people. So having that major or minor in communication, or even just taking classes in the communication studies program, puts you above the rest. But here's the thing. You can't wait until it's graduation day. You can't wait till you're already sitting in that interview trying to get that dream job. You have to do it now. You have to be taking interviewing, negotiation, conflict, team building, mediation. You have to be taking these classes now in order to have those skills in your back pocket when you go into that interview and you can positively say, I know I am the best fit for this position because of the skills that I have from my CMS major or minor. If you want to stand out above the rest, if you want amazing professors who are going to pour into you both professionally and academically, if you want classes that are going to challenge you and prepare you for the real world, you need to be a CMS major. You need to be a CMS minor, or at the very least be taking these classes. Because I promise you, they're going to help you. They're going to benefit you in ways that you didn't think possible. But don't wait. That's the catch. You can't wait. So that's why we're here today. How can we help you start the process now? How can we get you into the CMS program or get you into classes to help benefit you?
Hold on.
I don't want to change my mood.
All right, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
How much did you practice to get you to this point? How many times?
I have no idea. We've practiced so many times.
I think together we've probably practiced about anywhere from 30 to 50 times, but
Yeah.
we also had to practice individually. I know for me, when I was at work or if I was doing homework, I was saying what I wanted to say or thinking of key points that I really wanted to talk about, that I really wanted to drill home. And so even if my wording changed just a little bit, those key ideas were still in there.
Okay, so would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Brittany, that between 30 to 50 times
Yeah.
together, and then individually, how much on your own?
Oh, man. I have no idea. I think every morning that you go and give a speech or afternoon, it's important to practice it by yourself at least 5 times before you go, because then you'll be smooth and polished and you'll be able to give it casually but also professionally at the same time because you're comfortable giving the speech.
What advice would you offer students who will take this class next year? Brittany first.
My first piece of advice would be to make sure you get a really strong outline of what you want to say, because once you have those few main points that you want to make, then when you're speaking to a class, you can tweak it a little bit by how they're reacting, or if they seem to really be reacting to a certain class, and you can speak more about it. But that way you know that you have your set outline of what you really need to say. Or if it does happen and you accidentally get off point, then you'll know exactly where you need to go back to.
Makenzie?
I definitely think what Brittany said is probably one of the biggest things. But I know for me, what I had to remind myself is I'm not going to be the best public speaker. I'm not going to be the best recruiter out there. But what I need to focus on is how I can individually impact someone. How can my eye contact, how can my emotions, how can my body language, how can I really capture that person? Because I know, and I struggle with vocal fillers a lot. And so I have to be aware of that when I speak, but instead of focusing so much on, I have to have this concrete 100%, how can I effectively make it to where it connects to people? So the connection is probably the best advice that I could. Make it personal, but also make it polished to where it can do that.
In your dealings with people individually, in a one-on-one that you were trying to, that they came to you about interest in the major, what advice would you give regarding how you were able to convince so many students to change their major?
First thing, you have to be personable, because you're being the face of the major. When you go and talk to these people, like you're the face of the major, so you need to be able to be personable. Don't joke about it. You need to be professional, but how should I word this? You go first.
Okay. I know for me, a big thing that helped me was I just sat down and asked them questions. I let them kind of tell me their interest, and instead of me just like word vomiting everything about the CMS major, I asked, what are you really looking for? What are you interested in? How can I help you specifically? Let's look at this. Where are you at? What's your thought process? Instead of just being like, this is what you need to take now. This is why you have blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people were interested in what they could do after graduation with the job. And so knowing that and knowing exactly what they are looking for, you can make it more personal, and you can adjust it to that specific person. And, being along with them through the whole process. I woke up to 5 text messages this morning from a girl that I recruited, and she was having trouble registering. And she wanted to get into a December class, and she was like, how do I get an override for that? And so instead of waking up and being like, why do I have 5 text messages from this one girl? And why do I have an email from another girl? Being happy to help them, being really open to helping them, regardless of what time it is. It's kind of like being a CMS professor. You have to want to be able to help them professionally and academically, but you also have to give that level of, I'm a student too. Like, I understand what you're going through. So being personal and knowing and asking those questions about what they want and how to help them is really something that I've noticed that has really captured people's attention.
When do you make that actual, here's the form, change?
You want me to? Okay. So for me, it really depended. I got really lucky with the people that I talked to. I had 2 come up to me right off the bat and say, I already know this is what I want to do. Where's the paper? Where do I sign? I did have a couple people kind of iffy, but what I told them was, I'm not going to force this on you. I want you to succeed in life. I want you to be a CMS major. I want you to be a CMS minor, but I'm not going to shove this down your throat. I'm kind of a liaison for you. Like Brittany said, I'm kind of the face of the CMS program for you specifically. And so what the advice that I gave after interviewing them about what they wanted out of the program and what they wanted to do in the future, if I could tell that they were still hesitant, or even if I knew that they came in and were like, hey, this is what I want to do, I told them to take a night, sleep on it, talk to someone you trust, talk to whoever you need to process with, and then the next morning, if you're still like, yeah, let's do this, we'll get together and we'll sign the paper. And if you need more time, that's fine. We can get back together. We can talk. If not, we'll baby step it. We'll get it there. But having them have that choice to be able to think about it and to not feel like it was being pushed down their throat, I think that's what made it easier for them to sign. Because most of the time when I told them to take a night or to talk to someone, it was in the next couple hours or even the next morning that they were like, okay, I want to do this. So allowing them to have that processing time instead of being like, here, just go ahead and sign this and just kind of sign your life away to the CMS program, it gave them the option to be in charge of what they wanted to do.
I think another important thing, back to your other question, is to come prepared. Like, I met with this guy, and I had let me back up. So beforehand, we'd gone through and found all the classes offered in the major, and I think that was you, Kenzie, that got that together.
And Haley.
Oh, and Haley had got all the classes offered within the major, the classes that you needed for the minor, and the different what are they called?
Concentrations.
Yeah, concentrations for the major. So we had all our information, so we came prepared, and we were like, here's all that you have. And he was like, I'm really surprised that you have all this. I thought only professors had this information. I was like, no, you have access to this too. Like, you can go find this for yourself if you need to. So I think another thing is to come knowledgeable and prepared, because that guy actually kind of assumed that I was a professor, because when he emailed me at first, he was like, can I come meet you in your office? And I was like, I'll meet you in Java City. But so if you just portray yourself that way, then they're going to be like more willing to declare and to listen to what you have to say.
Anything else you want to add? Makenzie? If not, it's okay.
I think there is. I mean, this class has taught me a lot. I do want to go into recruitment, and so the biggest thing is, it's going to be a little bit different from recruiting for a major than it is for a job, but really there's not a difference. It's really just a matter of being personable. It's really a matter of truly caring about whether these people want to succeed in life and having that one-on-one contact with them. And don't, if I could give any advice, don't rush them. Don't force it down their throat. Be there for them, and if they decide, hey, that's not what you want to do, be like, I totally get that, but why don't you look into some classes without being like, no, you need to do it like a punching bag just going back and forth, because some people can't change their major, some people can't change their minor, but you can advertise the different classes and be like, okay, I get that you can't do this, but let's look to where you can kind of squeeze some things in, and just be personable. Just be able to, like Brittany said, being able to not necessarily change your speech, but adapt your speech to being either more personal or being more professional, however it needs to be, and watch their reactions, because if you're not getting positive feedback, then you might need to change something. You might need to adjust a little bit, or just different things like that. Being willing to adjust and being personal, I guess.
I think my only other piece of advice would be to go to the classroom beforehand, because our first speech that we did together, we didn't go to the class beforehand, and it was a very, very small classroom that we were not prepared for.
That was the second one.
Oh, was it? The second one.
It was the second one.
And I think if we had gone beforehand, we would have known what we were expecting, and it wouldn't have kind of been so surprising. But I would say definitely go to the classroom before and make sure you know the professor, because then you'll be more comfortable.
Yeah, because that room was extremely loud, and we weren't prepared for all the outside stuff.
Thank you. Thank you very much.